Those people who migrated some 150 to 50,000 years ago, they met cold winters the further north they went. This almost is evident. So in order to survive in these temperate and Arctic areas, they had to be inventive. They had to develop new cooperative hunting patterns. They had to make very careful plans for how to collect the food and how to preserve the food and how to prevent that other people got access to it if you didn't like it. All of this requires high intelligence, so the best gifted survived, and this means that the mean IQ of the group increased, and the more so, the more the harsh selection conditions were. So, could we prove that cold winter theory? We could if we found a north-south gradient for the old world distribution of intelligence, and we would expect that low intelligence in warm countries and high intelligence in cold countries. Do we find that? This is from Richard Lind's book, Race Differences in Intelligence. These are the IQs of people who have been living in this area at least since the 14th century. So it's not newcomers that have been measured here. You can see in Africa, the IQ is about 70. 90% up in the Middle East, 100 IQ points up here. Same pattern here for the Indians, and for the Indians up here. It's not the prevalent American population right now, and these are the Inuit people. And this is the Aborigines in Australia. 90 are the Polynesian people here. IQ 105. Northern part of Asia. Northeastern part of Asia. What's up for those guys? Tuto van Haan, who is a Finnish researcher, he wrote a book not so long ago. He said, now we have average IQs for all countries in the world with more than 40,000 people, inhabitants. What about democracy? Here we have the IQ scale 59 to 69, up here 100 to 108. Here we have the percentage of nations whoever has had democracy or something like it. It's never seen with low IQ countries 59 to 69, some few with 70 to 79. Look at that figure, because I will come back to that one. When you go up to IQ 90, something magical happens. Suddenly, it opens up for democracy, and 60% of those countries have one or another form of democracy. Then it goes down again. Why is that? China, India. They are not democracies in the sense the Scandinavians or the North Americans are, but they have some form of democracy. To the extent that the democracy index will increase in China and India, we'll probably see they go up like that. So, the thing to take away from this figure is democracy is almost impossible for a country with an IQ, average IQ, lower than 90. And when you think about it, when people invade Afghanistan, Pakistan, and other countries and say, we want democracy there, Darwin would sit quietly in a corner and say, well, perhaps. Now I come to this recently published, it's online but it's not printed yet, The Decay of Western Civilization, Double Relaxed Darwinian Selection. I will go through a few of the data in this area. But I took data from the Statistikbanken, which are the official Danish statistics run by the government. And we looked at the total Danish population, the number of foreign citizens of foreign origin, there are two different categories, distributed by citizenship, including children born abroad. We also looked for the number of naturalization of the year, including the children born before naturalization, and the number of so-called immigrants and their descendants, and the number of total common birth and total common mortality rates. The residuals in this are the ethnic Danes. And a recent study has shown that until about 1960, there have been some immigration into Denmark, but it's negligible. It's so little that it doesn't really count in terms of the total population. So the Danish population is fairly homogeneous, genetically speaking. This is no longer the case. The problem with this statistics here is that children born to foreign citizens and citizens of foreign origin are counted as Danish citizens, and the children born to naturalized citizens after naturalization are also Danes. Imagine that two Afghan parents get immigrate to United Kingdom. They then become British citizens. They can freely move within the EU, so they become Danish citizens if they like. And all their children are Danish citizens. This is a legal definition, and as such, impeccable. The problem is that a basic assumption behind this legal definition is that everybody is equal. If your parents are children of two Afghan parents, you compare to children of two Danes. Biological speaking, this system makes no sense. So my solution was to retrocorrect the numbers for the period 1997 to 2010 for each of the 235 countries, country of origin, and do that in a year-by-year fashion. So the status from 1979 was updated in 1980. And so then adding the number of citizens of foreign origin and naturalized people in accordance with the model down here. And it's actually a fairly simple annuity model. Your pension could be calculated the same way. In this model, the number of ethnic Danes is the residual after all these other citizens are subtracted. And the retro-estimated numbers for the period 79 to 2010 was then used to project population growth up to 2072. Here comes what I consider a bit of a shocking graphics. This curve is the Danish official ethnic mixed birth rate statistics. And as you can see, it's fairly low. Some would say that Danish fertility is going up right now and immigrant fertility is going down. This is of course not correct unless you use the legal definition. If you use the biological definition I use, then Danish fertility goes down. Now you can see this is the retrocorrected fertility. And in 1983, it was below 10. And now in 2009, 2010, it is a historically low 9.31. Danes are dying out, and they are dying out fast. Now look at this. Here we have a categorization of the immigrants and their descendants into 5 IQ bands. One band with IQ 90 to 104, 70 to 85, 86 to 89, lower than 70, and higher or equal to IQ 105. These groups down here, from 1979 up to 2010, play no direct role in the growth of the population. What counts is this group here with IQ 70 to 85. They are becoming the new substitutes for the residual Danes. Here we have another group. That's immigration from Western Europe and from Eastern Europe and so on, IQ 90 to 104. But they are about as infertile as are the Danes. So in the long run, they won't count. What about them down there? The consequence is that the Danish overall IQ will decline in the period from a little lower than 98 and down to somewhere near 97. Less than 1 IQ points. No reason for worries. Now look at the population growth, either due to immigration or to the number of births. And here is where fertility comes in. In 2009, 72% of the population growth were due to immigration and 28% to the birth of immigrants. In 2072, 23% will be due to immigration, but 77% of the population increases will be due to the higher fertility of the immigrants. This in itself would be innocent, but now look at the birth rates by IQ bands. The birth rate of the IQ lower than 70 is 40. In 2009, 39, predicted in 2072 to 40. Look at those with IQ above 105. 9.6, 13, 14. European immigration, 11, 12, 12. As IQ goes down, fertility goes up. That is a deadly development. If you look at the percentage of total birth in Denmark, in 1979, 97%, almost 97% were Danish, 1.5 came from Western immigrants, and 1.6 from non-Western immigrants. This is fallen to 78% and to 32% of ethnic Danish birth. This increases from 4.1 to 4.6. But the non-Western part increases from 1.6 to 17 to 61. This is the prescription of a substitution of an entire people. Another way to look at it is that if you look at the percentage based on the retrocorrected number and the projected number, you can see some of these are a little bit jumpy. That's because until 2010, we had the actual figures. Then we had to project. Again, we see that the group of 90 to 104 IQ Western immigration, their share of the population will drop to under 20%. But those with IQ 70 to 85 can be projected to be about 60% around 2080. If you now look at the share of Danish population, total Danish population by ethnic origin, these are the Danish proportion. From 98, it goes down in 2085 to meet with the total foreign origin number of immigrants. And of these, the non-Western origin, you see this is accelerating. And the Western origin, that means from the rest of Europe and Germany and United States, Canada and so on, doesn't really matter.